Have you ever been riding and see all these big old Harleys? These guys with these big fairings sitting out there, and they're like, looking like they're doing nothing. Yeah, it's a big fairing. Cuts to the wind, cuts to the breeze. This bike does that too. Does a lot more stuff too. I'm going to show you about all the little things that this bike does that no other bike does right now. Come check it out. There's a lot of things I want to touch on this bike that really they're not doing on much else that's out there. You know, some of the Indian heavyweights, as my camera lady just happened to point out, they all kind of have the same features. Most bikes have those kind of features, and this beast right here is vastly different than pretty much most everything that's out there. Small things. The motor has a lot of power, sure, but this baby has radial mounted brake calipers. Some of you may not be familiar with that because you're probably cruiser people. This is a sport bike thing. What radial mounted calipers are, is these two arms right here. This is the radius off of the fork tube. They're mounted out here to get all the braking force, even with the most rigid piece on the motorcycle itself. So you've got all your power here. The forks are not twisting or moving or doing anything else. You get all your force where it needs to go via the radial mounted calipers. On standard cruisers, they tend to twist because they're bolted directly to the fork tube. Not efficient. Not terrible, but not efficient. Brembo, full sport system. Brembo is the name, and brakes, period, BMW. This right here will waste none of that power that Brembo brings from this full-blown sport system. It's the same caliber that's on my Ducati, and that's awesome. And they work well. And they're pretty too. Another thing you're going to notice on this bike is the fit and finish. You say, Brooks, everything's fit and finished, right? Yeah, kind of. Not really. Small things, tolerances, everything's tight, smooth, and beautiful. Everything flows together. Small things that Indians taken into account on this bike, not a lot on the others. There's a little insert right here that when you don't have back, rest, trunk, all the nice things that go back here for your passenger, there's this big ugly hole where those things go. Well, Indians put this little insert right in there. It comes right off with a couple of grommets, just like so. And I'll even wrap this in bubble wrap and put it in your bag for you. And they do fit. But that's just some of the attention to detail that Indian has on this entire bike. The whole bike is done that way. If you can see that from back here, but if you follow it all the way up here, how tight the lines are up under the tank as compared to the engine itself. Now when you fire one of these bikes up, there's the rumble and all that stuff, but it doesn't go just nuts like a single pin crankshaft would do, or even a standard pushrod motor. They get a little bit of shake and rattle and roll. Well, down here there's not a lot of room for a shake, rattle, and roll. Well, you don't need it. Tolerances can be tight, the bike can be beautiful. You really see through it because it's all tight, fit, and finished. Bags, engine, everything looks beautiful. It's one package and it melds together beautifully. I'm a huge fan of this bike, and I will buy one for myself. I was mentioning the fit and the finish on this bike. Now, this is a kind of throwback-ish-esque type of a bike. Remember back when hot rods were a big thing? You know, you shave the door handles and get all that funky stuff off the side of a car. That kind of breaks up the pattern, the look that you wanted to go for. They were always like up under the door or up under the fender, something like that. Little trick button, bang, pops you up, and your door would open up like a DeLorean. Same kind of thing on these. This is a key fob, keyless bike, which means you have to carry less stuff. You can put your key fob in your jacket and you're good to go. It's always on you, it's always on your person. But there's no button. There's nowhere to put a key on the gas cap. Say, how do you do that then, Brooks? What are you going to do? Those buttons I was just talking about. Bang, right there. You hit the little button right there. I don't have it on, obviously. But, boop, gas can pops right up. And that's pretty cool. Not only is there a button for your gas cap down there, the bags too. The fob actually has two buttons on there. You can lock it on like bags, just like a car. But things happen. Fob, you can't get to it quick enough. Or a dead battery, something like that. Bing, bang, right there. Opens up your bags too. And that is groovy. I know this is a different color. It's a different bike. Blue one over there wasn't serviced enough. I wanted to show you, for one, screen on this bad boy. It is nice and big. touch on it is actually gloveless. It's a pressure touch. Isn't that rad? And then come out of the smoke. The fit and finish that I was talking about earlier and how tight everything is here, this motor is completely different. It's a non-standard motor, not a push rod motor. So you don't get all that shaking, rattling, rolling like I was talking about over there on the blue one. I want you to see that. It's smooth, it's easy. This is a single overhead cam engine, 122 horsepower, 128 foot-pounds of torque. That's some grunt right out of the box, but it can do it in like a civilized way. Watch. It's alive! See how smooth that is? I don't know if you can hear me when I'm talking with the engines on, but see how it didn't just go nuts? Smooth, easy. And you also see that it's water cooled, keep this nice beast cool in Alabama summertime. Keeps you comfortable on the bike and ride the bike all the time. That's what we want. We want you to ride the bike. And that's just a few of the many things that I think are pretty dang groovy on this bike and separate it from literally everything. This is the only bike that does most of the stuff I was telling you about, and definitely the only one that has them all in one package in blue. Brooks and Big Number One Motorsports, you know where you can put this in your driveway or wherever you would like. And I'll do it for you. Come and see me. 205-942-3313. See you.